Hey, what is up, sports bettors? It is Matt Modi here with OddsJam, giving you some early bets to lock in for the NFL Week 7 betting slate. So I'm recording this on Monday morning, which means that all of Week 6 has been played except for Monday Night Football tonight. So we will see how that goes. But for this video, locking in some early lines, some early bets, taking advantage of sportsbooks that have stale lines this early in the process. But before I get into it, I do want to do a little bit of a recap of how things went for Week 6 for me. Finally had a good week. Week 5 was really, really bad. Week 6 was really, really good. On my 4 sharp bets, I went 3-1. I only lost the game prop, but the Bengals money line was my lock. That hit. Seahawks money line was my underdog. That hit. My player prop was Skylar Thompson under 214.5 passing yards. That hit. Granted, thanks to a little bit of luck, I will admit. And then my game prop lost, bringing my total record from these 4 bets to 11 wins, 8 losses, 1 push. Total profit just under 300, which means just under about 3 units because I put a unit on all of these. So yesterday alone, I was up about 1.8 units. Very good. My sweat the bets went 2-1 yesterday. These are from the Sweat the Bet podcast, Sweat the Bet presented by OddsJam, available anywhere you can get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Would appreciate it if you wanted to check out OddsJam's podcast. It's me, aka Jedi Modi, and Andrew Kim, aka the Parlay Doc. We preview the week's best games, and then at the very end, we each give out 3 bets. For me, cash Seattle, cash the Bills -2.5, lost this 49ers Falcons over. And I got to say, this was a brutal, brutal beat. The total ended at 45.5, so beat the closing line by 3 full points. There was 42 points scored halfway through the third quarter. Nobody scored the rest of the game. I had chalked this one up to a W. Next thing I know, it's the end of the fourth quarter. No one had scored. Brutal loss, brutal, but these things happen. At least I got back to my winning ways after an 0-3 week last week. So again, Sweat the Bet presented by OddsJam. If you do want to check out OddsJam's podcast, Apple, Spotify, link is in the description of this video as well. So for this video, like I mentioned, we are locking in some early sharp bets for the NFL Week 7 betting slate. There are 3 bets that I like as of right now. Hopefully the odds haven't changed since I last looked at them, but let's get into it. The first one that I wanted to look at is the Kansas City Chiefs money line against the San Francisco 49ers. Both of these teams are coming off of a loss last week. One of them was a little bit more forgivable, the Chiefs losing to the Bills versus the 49ers losing to the Falcons. That one's pretty gross. But the play here is at -148 on Circa Sportsbook. So I'm actually going to bet to win a unit on this one. So I'm going to risk 148 to win 100, betting to win a unit. Just want to make sure that part is clarified. But the reason why I like this one, just look at the odds, right? -148 on Circa. Bookmaker, -155. Bet Online, -160. Pinnacle, -163. All of these sharp sports books price this bet pretty decently above what Circa is giving to you at -148. My guess here is that this is going to beat the closing line by a decent amount. As the week goes on, people are probably going to bet heavier and heavier on the Chiefs, which would make this -148. It's positive EV as things currently stand, and I think it'll be positive EV as the week goes on. You know, the Chiefs losing to the Bills in a weird game, I don't think they're going to lose back-to-back games, and I just think the Chiefs are the better team. The 49ers do have a good defense, but they're just so banged up. And I mean, as are the Chiefs, but the 49ers' strength was their defense. If that strength is taken away, obviously it's going to be difficult for them because they're not going to be able to win games based on their offense. Their offense only scoring 14 points against a bad Falcons defense is pretty despicable. So I like the Chiefs in this one. -148 on their money line, I think is a pretty good play. The next one that I'm not going to touch individually, but I would recommend putting in a parlay, is the Baltimore Ravens money line at -244. Now, the odds on them are pretty good. Like, if you look at the best odds, which is the -244 on Circa, and then you look at the average odds, is -282. That's awesome. Like, we see Pinnacle, -287. Bookmaker, all the way at -300. Bet Online, -275. All of these books have this very significantly priced higher than what Circa is giving to you at -244. So, because I don't necessarily love taking the money line odds at that steep of a price, why not just parlay it for plus 136 odds? We'll take the Chiefs money line again. So I am doubling down on the Chiefs money line, which is a little risky, but this is a good way to back the Ravens as well and get it for plus money. So I'm going to lock this one in for half of a unit, a money line favorite parlay, Chiefs money line, Ravens money line. You can get that at plus 136. Risk 50 to win 68, I think is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that one in. So that is my second bet for the betting slate. And to talk about the math behind it, the Novig line, like I mentioned, prices this, the Novig odds you see here, price this at minus 249. Getting it at minus 244 is a pretty good price. And again, just look at where all of the other sports books price it. Multiple books in the minus 290s, bookmaker at minus 300. All of these sharp sports books are telling you that the Ravens are more likely to win this game than the reflected odds that Circa is giving you. Now, minus 244 moneyline odds are not fun. I still think they are worth dabbling, in this case, in a parlay to make it a little more favorable. And then just looking at this game, the Browns just lost to the Patriots. The Ravens just lost to the Giants. The Ravens, I trust a lot more to come back from a loss than I do the Browns. I mean, the Ravens they're 3-3. They've had a 14-point lead in all 3 games that they've lost, or they've had a double-digit lead in all 3 games that they've lost, which is pretty brutal. But the Browns team are finally starting to come back down to earth after a pretty decent start to the season. And we just watched the Browns get lit up by Bailey Zappi and the Patriots. I think the Ravens offense is going to be able to do even worse to the Browns, and the Browns are banged up on defense. Jacoby Brissett starting to show why he's a career journeyman backup. He's an above average backup, but he's not one that you want to have to start 11 games, which is what the Browns need. And I don't even want to get into everything surrounding the Browns, so heavily rooting for the Ravens on this one, and it makes sense from a mathematical perspective as well. So all in all, I like this one, Ravens money line. And the last bet that I'm going to lock in is actually for Thursday Night Football, and we are backing the over in the Saints versus Cardinals game. Over 44.5, minus 110 on PlayUp. This is going to be a unit play. So this bet has been locked in. Now let me just add it to my bet tracker, a full unit. So let's chat about this one as well. Minus 110, the odds we got at PlayUp. Minus 110.5 essentially is what the Novig odds price this. The gap between these two numbers gives you your positive expected value. If we look at all the other books and what they price this total at, so Penn has this over 44 priced at minus 121, PointsBet minus 125. All of these books have the over as the more likely outcome, whereas PlayUp just has it at minus 110 each way. Another reason why I like this one, and if you click this view event page, you can view where every sportsbook prices the total at, and we can see every other book prices this total at either a half point or full point higher. Both BetOnline and Bookmaker price it a half point higher at 45, and they trend towards that going over. They favor the over, right? They both have the over at minus 115, the under at minus 105, favoring the over, telling you that they think the over 45 is the more likely scenario, and we're getting that at half a point higher than what we got it at PlayUp. BetMGM, Betfred, looks like Caesars, WinBet, BetRivers, all price this total at 45 as well. And then PointsBet, DraftKings, Tipico. I guess Tipico kind of has it between 45.5 and 44.5. And then Pinnacle prices it at 45.5 as well, a full point higher. So all in all, pretty good price getting this at minus 110. Now the Cardinals are weird. They just played a game against the Seahawks in which they didn't score an offensive touchdown. The Seahawks prior to that had the worst defense in the NFL by far. Just a weird game. We've seen this Saints offense perform better with Andy Dalton in. I think they're going to keep riding with him, especially on a short week. And the Cardinals offense, I'm not expecting them to have another bad game. The Saints just gave up 30 to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Now, obviously, the Cardinals aren't as good as Joe Burrow and the Bengals. But if you remember, that Joe Burrow and Bengals offense had been struggling mightily prior to the game against the Saints. They really hadn't gotten it together all year. So backing this one to go over makes sense from a football perspective, also makes sense from a mathematical perspective. And that's obviously the most important part, getting these bets to be positive expected value. So all in all, these are going to be my 3 early bets that I've locked in. Chiefs, I put to risk to win a unit. So risked 148 to profit 100. The Ravens money line at minus 244. I didn't love taking individually, so parlayed it with the Chiefs money line, and then I got the over in the Thursday night football game between the Saints and the Cardinals. And that is going to be it. Those are going to be my 3 early bets to lock in for the NFL Week 7 betting slate. So if you're tailing these bets, let me know. Would love to hear it. Comment on the video, let me know. And then, of course, don't forget to check out the OddsJam podcast. And, of course, most importantly, subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel. Go to oddsjam.com yourself to check out all these different betting tools that you can get to make yourself a profitable sports bettor. And that's it. So appreciate you guys watching, and have a good one.